Hello and welcome to our channel. I am here with Peyton and Yaela, and today's topic, what we're going to talk about, is spirit guides. We have a video on spirit guides, but we thought that it was time to update it a bit. So Peyton, why don't we start with you?
Thanks, Corey. Yeah, this is something we haven't chatted about in a while. And I think this is a topic that we don't hear quite as much talk about lately in the past couple years as maybe we did 3 or 4 years ago. But I think this is still something that's really important as part of our spiritual education because our spirit guides can really be a huge help to us. And as people on our spiritual path, we need all the help we can get. So when we talk about spirit guides, I always like to just start at the very beginning and talk about who are our spirit guides, because I get a surprising number of questions from people asking me, who am I talking about when I talk about my guides? So for the most part, when we are talking about our spirit guides, we're generally talking about three guides that most everybody has that are with us from birth to death. And what our guides are, they are helpers from the spirit realm. They are beings that we chose specifically at the soul level before we incarnated to guide us and help us and protect us as we entered the third dimension, third density experience, because we knew we would be going through the veil of amnesia, that we would not have access to all of our memories, our multidimensional abilities, and we were going to need some help. So one of the ways we did this at the soul level was to have higher dimensional beings who agreed to stick by us during this incarnation to help us navigate those things that we can't see from down here in our earth experience. So most of the time you will hear people say we have three main life guides who are really with us 24/7. Then we have a broader band of guides, which might be 9 to 12 beings. And then it goes on from there. We have as many guides as we choose to access. But generally, when we talk about our guides, we're talking about those three that are most closely working with us. And so those guides can be many different kinds of being. If you are a starseed, you may find that your guides are galactic beings. That's what I tend to have. My guides tend to be Pleiadian beings. You may also find that your guides are even ancestors that you have had, deceased relatives, people from your family lines. Guides can also be angelics. Lots of people have angelic guides. So our guides are very diverse. They will look different to each and every one of us. But basically what they are, they're spiritual helpers. They are higher dimensional beings who have access to our soul blueprint, who know what we intended to do in this lifetime, and they're here to help us do that. So our guides are helpers that we can call on for anything we need in our lives. So whether that is help opening up our multidimensional abilities, which so many of us want to do and love doing, our guides can be very helpful with that. Our guides can help steer us to our soul's mission, what our purpose is here on earth. They can help us find the people we need to, accomplish the things we're trying to accomplish in our life. So our guides are these incredible resources, these incredible helpers that we have access to. So when we talk about working with our guides in the spiritual community, we're talking about getting to know these, especially these three main life guides, so that we can take advantage of the help that they're here to offer. So some of the things that your guides can help you with are opening up your multidimensional abilities. I know that my guides have been really helpful with me in learning how to channel. They can also help you even teaching you things, teaching you modalities, teaching you a new way to do healing work. So your guides are really there to help you with anything you want to know, anything you want to learn, and also to protect you. This is something that can be a big benefit of learning to get to know your spirit guides, develop a relationship with them, is that they can protect you from things in the higher realms and dimensions that are not so helpful and beneficial. And if you are someone working to open your multidimensional abilities, that can be a really good thing. So one thing that my guides helped me with when I was just starting to open my abilities is they would block negative energies from me. I would actually feel them dropping an energetic barrier between me and another energy if it was not benevolent. So these are the kinds of things that your guides can actually help you with. But really the list is endless. And one thing that you will notice if you start to work with your spirit guides is they are there to support you, but they'll never tell you what to do. So your guides are there to make suggestions, to make recommendations, to tell you when something might not be about to work out in your favor, your direction. Your guides are there to help you on this journey because we knew we would be closing off a lot of our abilities in this lifetime. And so we knew from the higher planes, we were going to need a little help with that. So I think that learning how to connect with our spirit guides is still very relevant, especially for anyone who wants to do the work the three of us talk about all the time, which is connecting with your intuitive abilities, because your guides, they're on the other side. They can help you with that. They can see what you can't see. And so they will work with you in any way they can get through to you. Whatever cracks they find in your shield, your guides will get through to you however they can. But taking the time to really develop a relationship with them, I have found to be incredibly worth the effort in terms of the support that they have given me in trying to open these abilities, to be able to channel, to be able to connect with multidimensional beings, to be able to connect with our star family, which so many starseeds are dying to do. A great doorway to do that is by working with your guides, because they will be the gatekeeper. They will protect you from energies you don't want to tangle with. They will help you open your abilities, and they can really just be a huge help to you in almost any area of your life. So I think this is something that can benefit everyone. That is how I look at spirit guides and kind of how they have played out in my journey. How about you, Yaila? How does this kind of come up for you?
I love your introduction to spirit guides, Peyton. I think it was so clear and a lot of information as far as what they are and how to connect with them. When I think of spirit guides, very similar to Peyton, it's you have a team who you have an agreement before you actually got this body in this physical realm. You have an agreement with these different guides that they are here to help you stay in alignment in this lifetime. So like Peyton was saying, you have things that you wanted to accomplish or learn or reach in this lifetime. I find that they are pretty broad and vague. So I know a lot of people get hung up on what's my life purpose. And we actually have a video on life purpose too, if you want to check that out. But your spirit guides are really helping you stay in alignment in this lifetime. And Peyton gave some really great examples as far as different ways they can show up. And so one of the big questions I had when I was first learned about spirit guides and wanted to see how I could connect to mine, because I thought the theory was nice, like, oh, it sounds very lovely that we have these beings on the other side that are here to connect with us, but I didn't have any proof of that for myself. I didn't really, my logical mind kind of poo-pooed on all of it, was like, well, I don't really see it. I don't really feel it. There's been so many crappy things that happened in my life. Like, I didn't really buy into it, but I was at a point where I was like, okay, I'm open to the idea. If they're here, how do I connect with them? And I had heard somewhere that you can actually journal to connect with your spirit guides. So one night I was having just a really rough night, and I brought out my journal, and I'm not a huge journaler. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to try anything at this point. So I brought out my journal and I just started writing. I'm like, okay, to my guides, to my team, to my, whoever's on the other side here to help me, I want to connect with you. I literally just free wrote what was in my mind. And it was almost like as fast as I could write, the thoughts that popped in my head, I just wrote. And I basically poured my heart out, where I was stuck, where I was frustrated, wanting to know answers, didn't understand why, and I just free wrote. And I didn't worry about spelling or any of that kind of stuff. And sure enough, after I just kept writing and kept writing, the language started to change. And again, I wasn't really like thinking like, oh, when is the language going to change? I didn't expect anything. I was just writing. And I was just like, all right, guys, if you're here, if you're my team, like, why this? Why that? This is how I feel. I'm frustrated here. And sure enough, like the more I kept writing, I just kept writing until my energy went calm. I started to feel more peaceful. The tears stopped. And when I went back through and started reading everything, I could literally see where the language shifted. And that was my proof to myself that maybe there is something real about spirit guides on the other side, because what came through was so incredibly loving and such a different perspective to look at the situation that I was going through that my mind up until that point wouldn't have comprehended. Like I knew for myself that I did not have those original thoughts. And so that started opening up my eyes to actual proof that maybe there is some support on the other side. So if you are someone who is wanting to connect with your spirit guides, try free writing, try just journaling, and set the intention to connect to your guides. You can ask, what are their names? You can ask what they're there for. You can, wait till you're in a crisis and just, like I was pretty much on my hands and my knees and I was just open to whatever. But I think the intention was so strong to connect with them that there was zero resistance in it. So it might take some time to understand that you actually are connecting with your guides. So journaling is one way. Going through a course or a class is another way too, to learn specific ways to communicate specific tools. Meditation is another great way. Guided meditations and there's a lot of different ways you can go about connecting to your spirit guides, but those are kind of some of the places I would suggest starting. And what is always a telltale sign that you are connecting to your spirit guides is they are always going to be in a loving voice. You're not going to feel fearful. You are not going to feel uncomfortable. You're not going to be told to do anything that you normally wouldn't want to do or have suggestions on things that you normally wouldn't want to do. It's going to be so incredibly loving and probably profound and probably really, really simple than your own mind would have thought it would have been. So those are just some suggestions to know that you're actually connecting to your spirit guides and how to connect to your spirit guides. And there's many levels to spirit guides. If you want to call in a particular spiritual guide, there are many of the ascended masters like Archangel Michael or Gabriel or Raphael or Jesus. There's Buddha. You can connect to some higher beings that maybe you've heard of before. I know people try to connect to Mother Mary or Saint Germain or Kuan Yin. There's all these ascended masters, but maybe you have a family member who crossed over, like your grandmother who you had a really strong relationship with. Specify them by name if there's someone in particular. And then from there, as you start to build up that trust, you might be more open to, okay, who's my posse? Who's my team? Like who are my spirit guides? That curiosity is really what will start to welcome in your connection to your spirit guides. And every single person on the planet has guides they work with. I have not met a single person that doesn't have any. It's a matter of practicing building that connection. And so if you're curious about it, I would just say keep that curiosity and open yourself up to just having the intention alone is huge to want to connect to your spirit guides, and the ways will be shown to you. So trusting that you'll be shown what works for you. So if journaling's not your thing or meditation's not your thing, maybe a class is your thing, or maybe, connecting to someone in person who can help you connect. There's so many different ways you can connect to your spirit guides, but always know, since you have a physical body in this realm, in this world, you have the ultimate say who's allowed to be in your space or not. When I say in your space, it means talking in your mind, physically feeling around you in your room. If there's anything or anyone that you feel is in your space that you don't want there, you have every right to say you need to go. And then when in doubt, just ask Creator, Source, God to pull them out of your space if you feel like you can't do it yourself. But you have a body, so you control what's allowed in your space and what's not. But you also get to control who you want to welcome in as well. So your intention is everything. That's how you have your sovereignty. So that's what I would add to spirit guides. How about you, Corey?
Well, thank you everyone for coming to our videos. You ladies are awesome. You're so awesome. What I have to add about spirit guides is, spirit guides assist us in our spiritual evolution. And, I actually, one time I actually called a psychic medium to get the name of one of my spirit guides. And I did not realize it at the time, but she said, well, your higher self's name is Grace, and she's one of your guides. And I said, well, your higher self can be a guide? She said, well, yes, absolutely. And so that was eye-opening for me. And, I agree with the ladies. One of the big things that I have to say really about spirit guides is that we have this law of non-interference in the universe and on this planet. And so when it comes to spirit guides, whether it is Archangel Michael, the Pleiades, your higher self, a family member who has passed over, they still cannot interfere unless you give them permission or ask for help. So just remembering that the law of non-interference will not allow them to come in and change the course of your life or your spiritual path. You have to ask them for help. The only one who has any somewhat law of interference is your guardian angel. Everyone has a guardian angel and has been with us many, many lifetimes. And so, for instance, if you're in a car wreck and something is going to happen to you, your guardian angel can protect you and change your course according to what you've signed up as your soul path. But any other guides have the law of non-interference. So connecting with your spirit guides is such a treat. It's like having a best friend. It takes time, but they are there for us when we need guidance. I loved it. Peyton, you said protection. I'm a big Archangel Michael fan myself, and I have always called him in for protection. So I have my certain non-physical beings, that are on the other side. Some of them are galactic. Some of them are angels, archangels, high, ascended masters that I call in when I need assistance or help or to learn something, whether it's about the world or myself or a tool, an energetic tool. So we can have more than one spirit guide. And it doesn't mean that one has to be, allocated to this and allocated to that. It's whatever you decide. As Yaila said, that no one comes into your space without your permission. We have that capability, that strength as human beings on this 3D earth plane, or even on the earth plane, even if you're running on 4D or 5D for that matter, consciousness, we have a say as to what comes in and what goes out. And when you connect with your spirit guides, it's opening up a whole new world. And I love, Yaila has always said, curiosity is your superpower. And so curiosity certainly does get the ball rolling. And there's so many teachings that you can get from your spirit guides. So that's really about all that I have on spirit guides. Anything else, ladies?
One thing that I would add to our conversation, which you guys both touched on, is that as you are learning to connect with your guides, this is that area that the three of us have talked so much about where you want to bring your discernment. You want to be very careful what energies you're connecting with. And as Yaila mentioned, you are sovereign in your space. You are the boss of your space. But this is that area that we have talked about in so many videos where you want to use your energy protection tools. You want to be in a sacred space before you start to connect with your guides or ask your guides to come in, because you want to be in control of the energy that you are connecting with. So I always encourage people to set very specific intentions before you start to connect with your guides, that you want to work only with the beings of highest love and light. Because again, remember, you are the boss. So whatever rules you set, you're the head of the household. So this is that one area that we talk about where you want to turn your discernment dial all the way up. If the energy ever doesn't feel good to you, it's probably not your guides. If it ever is telling you to do something, one thing that I have noticed is the guides will never tell you to do anything. They will make suggestions and recommendations. But if any energy is making you uncomfortable, it's probably a good idea to let that one go. So again, this is that one area where it's very important to be very intentional and to use your energy protection tools. So just wanted to throw that in.
Love that, Peyton. Something else I would add is you can have more than 3 guides that work with you. So sometimes you might have more around you. And it's good to check in from time to time, like which guides are around me right now, how are they supporting me, or how are you supporting me when you connect with them? So just know, yes, most people probably have minimum 3, but sometimes you'll have more, and various reasons for that. So there can be a multiple number of guides that are assisting you at different times. And they're not always from the earth. So I know Peyton could touch on that before, but some of them I've actually had a client who a guide that she works with was more like a star. It was a light being, and she just felt a vibration and a resonance from them, and just it was more like a telepathic message versus visualizing them in like a human type form. So just know your guides can show up in different ways, in different forms, not always human-esque, but you can have more than 3.
Yes, and thank you, ladies. Definitely that discernment, and you can have more than 3, and it's up to the individual, because nobody knows really what your soul path is but you, and even sometimes we don't know. So it's all what resonates with you, and discernment and those energy protection tools is a must. If they are not in the highest love and light, probably not your spirit guides. So that's about all I have. Anything else, ladies? All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us with this video. We have so many more that you can watch, and we'll have so many more coming. So please like, share, and subscribe to our channels. And until next week, bye for now.